Hello and welcome to another edition of Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. Please like these videos, share these videos, share them all around. I'm just joking. So I'm going to tell you something. I swore that I did this video before. I had to go back and look because I was positive that I did this. And what happens is, there are times when I'll do videos, have a couple put away, create some content and put it back so I can release it tomorrow or the next day. And I have actually done this video one or two times, and for whatever reason, I didn't post it. I think I was trying to get a hold of somebody about it, and that's the reason I didn't. Nevertheless, I was positive that this has been up already. And this has to do with an escape attempt at Leavenworth. I went back, I checked titles. Thought I was going crazy. My wife said that no, I didn't post it, so we'll see. So after I do it, if I put it out there and I've already posted it, come at me and tell me that I did it. Otherwise, let me go ahead and tell the story. In September of 1998, I arrived at Leavenworth with a fresh life sentence, United States Penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas. I arrived with the fresh life sentence, and I was placed in B-lower, cell 250, with the guy by the name of Yogi. Yogi was a tattoo artist, also fully tattooed from head to toe. Had that blue-green tattoo ink all over him. Looked like somebody that, been in prison for a long time, tattooing himself. That faded tattoo ink. I forgot what he had on his head, but he was completely bastard. But Yogi, nevertheless, a good guy, good celly. He had previously tried to escape from Three Rivers, Texas. That was a medium security facility. Because of the failed escape attempt, they did not put him in any kind of control unit at the time. This goes back into the 90s. I don't even know what they had then. So I know if you were to USP and you tried to escape, you would have went to Marion or the ADX. If you were in a FCI back then, I really don't know. I'm not sure. Now they have smooth programs for people that are in, I think, lows and mediums and all that stuff. They didn't have that back in the day. I was in the cell with Yogi a couple of months, and during that time, I found out that he was, what do you call it? Is it ambidextrous? When you got ambidextrous, double-handed. When you have the joints and you can roll your hands around. Hey, babe, what's it called when you can move your joints, bend your joints all around? When you can put your hands behind your back and go through. Not ambidextrous. No, what is it called?
Wow, I haven't.
Anyway, I thought she'd know. So, my bad. So, he's had officers handcuff him and roll and, do the roll thing and come out of it and go frontward, backwards. So, Yogi, yeah, he was that guy. Matter of fact, he won a lot of money doing that. There was some cool cops that were on there. Not supposed to. It's a security issue. But there were some cool cops that were on, and Yogi'd say, hey, bet me X amount of money that I can get out of handcuffs behind my back, and boom, boom, boom. And he'd pop his shoulder, roll his shoulders. Man, it looked freaky, but man, he was good. Anyway, he was also a locksmith. I'm able to speak freely about this. Number one, it's been a long, long time. I've not talked to Yogi, so I didn't get permission. But he went to ADX over this whole thing, okay? Spoiler alert. So, Yogi, he was an intense person. And, to me, because I had a life sentence, when I get into a cell, I kind of like to hook it up, make a nice cell. Yogi, he tattooed, he worked on radios, it had a lot of company over, so I was trying to get out of the cell. Not as a person, he was cool, but we were on, I had a life sentence. I was trying to settle in. That's before I started catching shots and going to the hole. When you're involved in all kinds of activity, the gangs, the drugs, the gambling. You don't really care because you know you're going to go to the hole. Every time you're out of the hole, it's kind of like a little furlough. You're just getting out to go hard, and you're going back to the hole. Plus, I really didn't care about getting caught. You know, guys try to get away. The only reason I didn't want to get caught sometimes because I didn't want them to take my drugs or whatever. But as far as going to the hole, once I got used to it, it was fun. Especially the hole at Leavenworth, which I've talked about a lot. The hole at Leavenworth back in those days can be absolute fun. Well, right before I moved out with Yogi, he came at me and he said, if you had a chance to escape, would you? And at that time, I said no. And he's, what do you mean? You got a life sentence. And I said, yeah, but I'm going to get out. I didn't believe my life sentence was real, especially in the early days. I was going to beat it on appeal. And when my appeal lost, I was going to win on my 2255 or second appeal. And so that's how I had it. And plus, to be totally honest, I do not have rabbit in my blood. There were times when I could have drove to my doctor's appointments and I would have drove back. That sounds crazy. To escape, you have to be willing to totally cut off your family and friends and everything you've ever known. You have to be willing to go on crime sprees that I was not willing to go on. I mean, when you're escaping, especially with the life sentence, it's balls to the wall. It's some guys would do suicide by cop if they got caught. I probably would never have gone that far at that time of my life. But you have to be willing to jack cars, kill people. And I just, that wasn't me. Anyway, I found out that Yogi was a locksmith, and he showed me that he was making a key. Now, I thought that the key was originally for a wine spot. They have pipe chases behind all the cells in Leavenworth, B lower, B upper especially. And if you had a key to that pipe chase, you can really stash a lot of wine. I had never been through the pipe chases and around the prison, but what some guys that work construction maintenance had learned was you can go under the prison, under B lower. And at that time, you can go under, and there was windows that came out in the front, and those windows did not have bars on them. Now, those windows were in the front of the prison. I was by Leavenworth the other day, and what they've done is they put gates or mesh around them. I think they might have barred them off, but back in the day, I mean, you break that window, is what everybody was led to believe, and I was told, and I believe was true. You break those windows, you're out. You're in the front of the prison. Now you got to deal with all the staff and everything else, but nevertheless, you're out. Also, if you went up above B upper and came out the front windows, you can slide down. There was talk about that too. So here's what happened. Yogi comes at me and he finds out that I still had some property and some stuff left. That is, I still had a couple cars. I still had some things on the street, a year and a half after I was busted. Just BS junk cars, but I had them. When he found out I had a car, he wanted to know if I had people that'd be able to drive the car. Of course I did. I had family members that were taking all the property that I did have. Hello, nephews and sister. But anyway, basically what he was asking is, can somebody drive a car up to Leavenworth and drop it off in a parking lot at X location? Well, yes, I did have somebody that would be able to do that. But I caught on to what he was asking me, and basically he was asking me to get involved in an escape attempt. There were other people that got involved. There was a guy named Candyman and his cellie. I believe they're both deceased. Alex, who is a good friend of mine, he's out now doing well. At the time, he had 10 years in the feds and 22 to do in the state. He had to do all of it. He did all of it. He's now home and free. A guy named Florida Bob, Alex Bob, Candyman, I'm missing somebody, Yogi. And I turned it down. Never was pressured. Asked me, they really wanted the car, even asked for the car afterwards. I didn't want to do it. But this was a very serious escape plot. So serious that guys that did not live in Belower that were going to be a part of this were moving. They were in for bed moves to move to Belower, and the plan was they're waiting for a fog day. When fog count was called, they would head into the pipe chase in Belower. Matter of fact, the front pipe chase. Not in the front of the unit, but in where the vestibule is, in the center of the unit. They were going to go into the pipe chase, and they were supposedly going to go under. Now, when I was talking about it, when I was in Yogi's cell, the plan that he told me was they were going under the prison and coming out. I later heard that they had made alternative plans to where they were going to go upstairs instead. And you can go all over the place through these pipes, through the pipe chases. I heard they were going to go up above the catwalk, bust the window out, go down that way. I don't know. I do know that they had made ropes out of bed sheets, blankets, other stuff, and they had got some dark clothes, or was it light clothes? So it was for fog count. They had a bunch of clothes. They had food packed. They had some water packed up. They had things that this was an all or nothing. They were going. Like I said, guys moved from the different unit, or they were in transfer. They were transferring that day. I think Candyman had moved, or Selly, but this was a go, and this was waiting for the next fog count. There was, to my knowledge, my old Selly Tom Rutledge knew about it. One of his sidekicks, Tom, was talking about going, but Tom liked to talk a lot, and God bless him. But I probably would have went, especially if he's pressured a little bit into it. But he also, Tom Rutledge was going through court proceedings, and actually a guy by the name of Rusty Marks had won his case in the Supreme Court. United States versus Rutledge had to do with a CCE and a conspiracy case. And it's a real interesting read if you're into the law. But that's Tommy Rutledge. That was my Sally later on after Yogi. What happened was there was a guy, and I'm not going to name him. I'm just going to say R, okay? His initial R. R was in the utility supply room. So there's a room that they used to put toilet paper in, and sometimes they'd pass out toilet paper, or either a cop would or one of the inmates would once a week. That room had a bunch of storage stuff in it. Also, there were some guys that were able to put a typewriter in there and use a typewriter when need be. R was using a typewriter, and Yogi was having, I don't know if he was making a duplicate key for the pipe chase, whatever the deal was. Yogi needed to get into the pipe chase. Actually, he already had the key made, and he wanted to get in it. So they were making wine in this pipe chase. So yes, it was going to be the escape route, but while you're waiting for escape, let's get drunk, you know? So they were making big batches of wine. And when you got the key to the pipe chase, I mean, you can make a heck of a lot of wine. Well, R was also had a life sentence, been down a long time, but he was focused on legal work. Like me, he did not have rabbit in his blood. Like me, he did not want to go on a crime spree. He was trying to get out of prison, not seal himself in prison indefinitely. There are a lot of nonviolent drug offenders that are serving life without parole who have that same attitude. It's different when you have a life sentence for drugs. You know, you almost feel like, is this even real? It can't be real. You know, I'm going to get out someday, hence here I am. But it's a real weird feeling. People say, if I had a life sentence, I would do this. If I had a life sentence, I'd do this. Yeah, okay, that sounds good until you got a life sentence. Until you have a life sentence for drugs. When there's no body, physical body, and nobody got hurt. Okay, I know people get hurt from drugs. People sell drugs. I get it. I'm talking about that the courts could see when there's nobody hurt. When you're convicted of what's called a nonviolent drug offense, it's really hard to come to terms and say, hey, I've got life and I'm never getting out. Sometimes I did that. There's times when I believed I was never going to get out, but it's a total different trip than what people would think. Anyway, Yogi, agitated, wanting somebody to keep point for him so he can use his key freely, get in there and get his wine or whatever he was doing, snapped on R. Hey, I need you to keep point for me. R said, I got some things to do. Hey, man, I need you to keep point for me right now. Hey, bud, I'm got snap. Hey, goddamn it. I said you're going to keep point for me. You understand me? It was a threat. That was the wrong threat. At that point, R snapped. R wasn't a punk physically. I mean, this guy was actually a really good fighter. But that was the day that R decided to rat. And what I mean was, when you know legal work, this guy knew legal work and read too many cases and realized that if he could help foil an escape attempt, that he may get his time reduced from life without to 30 years. And that's what happened. There was a serious threat made by Yogi that if he didn't keep point, Yogi was going to do something. Yogi was a bad boy. He'd put a knife in you in a second. Like I said, R was good with his hands and feet. Yogi would kill you. That's the truth. And I'm not saying he has, but I'm just saying the impression that he gives off. Okay, let's just put it that way. So yeah, something inside of R changed that day, and the very next morning, or was it the same day? I'm really not sure. We had a lockdown, and a few minutes later, Yogi went bye-bye, Alex went bye-bye, Candyman went bye-bye, his celly, and they all got locked up. They stayed in the SHU or D-cell house. They split these guys up. D-cell house was predominantly for protective custody cases. It was called the dog house or D-cell house in Leavenworth, was the only unit left as close to its original state as possible for historical purposes. They didn't have heating or air. They didn't have glass on the windows, so there was birds flying around. It was super, super hot in the summer and super, super cold in the winter. Miserable place to be, and they kind of left it that way to screw people that were sex offenders, check-ins, rats, whatever. So, if you needed PC at Leavenworth, especially when Mickey Ray was a warden, you were going to stay 18 months, and that was a hell of a ride for those dudes, is what it is. Some of those guys for the attempted escape ended up in the D-cell house. There was a guy named Florida Bob. I saw with my own eyes statement that Florida Bob had gave. I don't know his last name, and I'm not trying to put him out there like that. But 7 months into it, some of the guys that were involved, or one of the guys that was involved for sure, besides R, who tipped off staff, one of the guys that was involved in the state was going to be involved, Florida Bob, gave a statement confessing, and I think he ended up going to a low security prison. I'm not really sure. I was really surprised about that guy because he didn't strike me as somebody that would tell like that, but it is what it is. I know Alex Salco stayed strong. I just said his last name anyway. Alex stayed down. He came back out. Some of the guys got back out. Yogi ended up going to ADX over it. I don't think he got a shot. I think it was, they ended up getting him for manufacturing a key, I believe. And here's what happened. R filed to the courts for a sentence reduction. I helped the government stop an escape attempt. Therefore, I deserve X amount of time. He was asking for 30 years. That's what he was asking for. The prosecutor comes back and says, well, you did, Mr. R, help the government. What you helped them was not foil an escape attempt. You helped them unearth a wine spot. So here's what I'm going to say about that. I am not for people in prison telling on one another at all. I'm not, I am a prison consultant, and I will advise people accordingly, according to their wishes and how they wish to do their time or how they wish to do their sentence or proceed with their sentence. The prison snitching is real. It's like common nowadays, even in USPs. It's crazy how many guys tell. This guy was telling to get his time cut. Now, under the law, he actually had a valid point. That is, he did stop a potential escapee. 100% he did. I read the case on this. This is how I know it all. And the rumors being in prison and being a part of it. They actually thought I assaulted this guy because of this, because I did get into a fight with this other guy. Long story with R. So it was the government playing dirty tricks. According to the law, the guy for stopping an escape. And let me tell you something. These guys got out. There was knives made. It was on and popping. They were going for broke. Trust me when I say this. Again, statute of limitations dead. This is all under the bridge. Some of them are dead. Not putting words in people's mouth. Alex, I've actually talked to. He's going to come on sooner or later. I got him talking about this, no problem. But according to the law, R should have got that time cut. Like I said, I'm not mad about it. I'm not preaching for him. But it's crazy to see what the government does, how they switched up. They turned the key that was going to be used for the pipe chase to get out into, he had R saw him have a key for the wine spot. Totally fucked him. Not only did he fuck him, put this guy's name in the law books, blasted him. This guy had a hell of a ride. He tried to get his time knocked off, and boy, they knocked fire from his behind. Put his name on blast, put him in protective custody. He actually had to get transferred out of the federal system because of this. And all along, all these years, that guy filed for that. And from what I understand, he got out for other reasons. He had life without parole. But it was crazy how that all turned out. And I just want to say, part of Leavenworth history, there has been some guys that got out of there. There was a guy that we used to call Jerry Springer. I forgot his name. He was cellies with Dave Radcliffe. I think it was Radcliffe, who was on Chad Marks' show some time back. The guy was going up on the roof and going to slide down. He was hiding on the roof. That was his thing. I remember Dave looking for a celly. Where's my celly? Dave came, so 10 o'clock at night when everybody's locking down, he's like, Celly, where are you? You know, knowing that he already left, trying to put on a little bit of a show, buy some time for the dude. But Jerry Springer, he got caught on the roof. There was some guys that made it out. That was before I got there. But the point of this story is, I was there when Yogi and the crew had a real escape plot going down. Was asked to be a part of it, turned it down. Glad I did. Probably wouldn't be out today, because when you have escape on your jack, imagine if I would have got a shot or disciplinary for that back in 1999, or was it 99, 98, 99? I would have, 99 or 2000. I would have a shot for an attempted escape. And let's say I had all this clear conduct. The judge is going to look at me and say, do what? That was actually a really good decision I made at that point, right? Well, I hope you enjoyed. I hope I didn't already do this video. I think I did portions of it, but man, I'm telling you. And I haven't even broke out the books from, I've got the journals I showed you the other day from a different spot, but from Leavenworth, this, haven't even opened them yet. Haven't even opened them. This will be posted tomorrow night on Friday. You have a good weekend. Me and Marta will be live soon. We just don't know when. There's always so much going on. And I still haven't finished the floors. Hopefully tomorrow. All right. Have a good one. Peace out.